Welcome to the Tony Talk Show. Here we are Thursday morning, 10 a.m. in Midtown, Houston, Texas. And we're going to get right to it today. We have a wonderful guest. It's a great friend of Shine and myself. Shine, how are you doing today? You doing well?
I'm doing good. I think you're the lucky one today. You get two beautiful ladies instead of just one.
I love that. I love that. Guys, I'm lucky, right? And we have the wonderful Rachel. Last name, Sturkle.
Look, I tell everyone, it's Urkel with an ST in front of it.
Sturkle. So I was right. Sturkle. Yes. I was right. Just like people mess up my last name, I mess up other people's last names as well. But Rachel is, we're so happy that you're here today, Rachel. And we're going to have some pretty deep discussions about a lot of different things. We're going to just kind of flow through today and have some conversations. Want to know a little bit more about you and about what you're doing in your life now. Shine and I, we had discussed.
I think it's just her story is so inspiring, and I think it's very relatable to a lot of people, especially what they've experienced this year with the pandemic, relationships to that and their jobs, what may or may have not happened, and how you can use that as an opportunity and not an obstacle. So
absolutely, we talk about, during times like this, you can either step forward or you can step backwards. And Rachel happens to be one of those people who step forward. And I think that's just kind of your nature after me getting to know you a little bit more as your life has unfolded. So that's focusing on opportunity, seeing opportunity, and exposing opportunity, right? So once we met. Where did we meet, Rachel? Where did we meet?
At the gym.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so give us a little bit of your background, and of course, lead us into what you're doing now. We're super excited with what you're doing now with renewable energy. So tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, your background, and how you led to where you are today.
Okay. So for starters, I am born and raised Houston native. So awesome for that.
Houston.
For the last 3 years, I was actually a project engineer working out in Pennsylvania.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember you told me that.
Yep.
And you worked for Mr.
Warren Buffett.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, he was actually the owner of our company. Yeah. Never got to meet him.
Yeah, but good company. Say some good things about the company. Good company.
We were very profitable. So,
so that means it's good.
Yeah.
They made money.
But, obviously our company, it was manufacturing. We did a lot of aerospace. So once the pandemic started, we were hit very hard, very, very hard. Our company took about an 80% decrease on the workforce. So that led to...
Were you dealing with a lot of contracts or something like that just diminished?
Yeah. All of our companies that we were dealing with, Boeing, all of those contracts, they were actually halting us because they were like, we're not building anything, so you can't ship us material. Like, we know that we've agreed to this, but we're not accepting it right now. So we had nothing else that we could do but decrease our staff.
Yeah, and when you have those issues, you have to cut back and try to minimize and keep the business going. So I understand that from a business perspective, but a lot of times people get hurt in that.
So you were subjected to the layoffs.
Yep.
Okay. So what happened next?
So that was about June of this year, and then in August, I moved back home. Didn't know what I was gonna do. As a retired athlete, college athlete, I was like, what
sport did you play?
Volleyball. For San Francisco State.
That makes sense.
Yep. So, I'm like, okay, I'm an athlete, personal training. I could do that. Sure, whatever. And that's actually how we ended up meeting. Helping a friend, get some leg workouts in, and then Tony comes over and starts coaching my
chatting it up like I always do.
I'm thinking I'm coach, but Tony comes in, starts doing his thing. But
it was. I was just trying to correct this form. That's all. I don't like the people. I don't want anyone to get hurt when they're in the gym, because you can sustain an injury in that gym that will be with you for the rest of your life.
Absolutely.
So, proper form and technique is critically important. So back to your story.
So that just kind of jump started our relationship, because from there our energy kind of just aligned, and you introduced me to solar, and since then we've just been
well, remember I was on the leg extension and you came over and you were like, is there any opportunities for me? Remember you?
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God. Okay. I said, this is exactly the type of people we look for. Yes. We were talking about energy. See, guys, all this stuff comes together. If you look at it all, we talk about energy. Shine and I, we purpose the people we want to meet daily. We purpose the type of people we want to bring into our business. Yeah. We purpose the type of people, clientele we want to work with. Yeah. And then voila, Rachel shows up in the gym. Unexpected to me. We're working out. I started talking to her friend that she was training with, the gentleman that you were working with. Yep. And then it came around right before we left. The opportunity showed up and we stepped into it together. Yep. And yes, why was I looking at Rachel? Because, of course, she had the characteristics that we look for when we look for partnership. Yes. A very motivated person, very focused person. And I knew if she's in the gym working out, she takes care of herself and she cares about herself. So all those things I've noticed come to the surface as you've been moving forward with us in a business perspective as well.
So we mentioned it. So you have now a solar business. Okay, so what is...
Why'd you do solar, Rachel?
Well, one, why'd you do solar? And then what is your experience been going from a job, a clock in, clock out job,
as an engineer, too.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very prestigious position.
Because I'm sure that gave you a little different perspective than what we had, because we don't come from an engineer's background. Yeah. So I really want to hear, what really attracted you to the whole situation.
Yeah. So, for starters, solar with renewable energy, for starters, that was something that I actually took an elective on in my college studies. Yeah.
Okay, so the seed was sown.
Yes. What do you say? It takes how many times for that seed to be planted? And then...
Listen, man, there's seeds being planted all the time. All the time, yeah. It's what you decide to water that's going to grow.
Absolutely.
Right?
So was that elective really interesting to you?
Yeah, that was something that kind of connected with me on an emotional portion, but I never knew that it was going to lead to an actual, entrepreneurial kind of
opportunity for you. Okay, so when you said it connect emotionally, because I'm always going to bring stuff back to energy. Yes. When it connected to you emotionally, was that a good feeling for you?
Oh, absolutely.
Was the feeling of connection, what was that? Was it like, okay, this is something that we need to be looking at and considering for the future of our planet? What was going on in your mind at that moment?
Obviously, being in California at the time during my studies, renewable energy is huge over there.
Oh, it's huge. And I think they have a great model of what they've done, because they used to have the largest carbon footprint in America. Now they don't, because of solar. Yep. Okay, so keep telling me.
Yeah, so, obviously it made sense there, but then the things that I learned through the curriculum and everything from that point of view, I couldn't ignore the facts. Right. The facts were apparent, and it was something that the community...
We're going to give some facts today that are irrefutable, actually.
Right, exactly. Right. And it's something that the community was so lacking on.
Yes.
That's where the emotional connection was. I want to educate the community. I want to be able to let people know that there is other options, that this isn't the only way of life.
Right.
So that's where the emotional connection came from.
That was that little emotional draw. Then here we are. You move to Houston. The wind blows you this direction through life.
Yep.
You move to Houston and you wake up one morning, you go to the gym and did not know that spark was going to be ignited again, right?
Yeah.
So now you're in solar, and okay, so you had an emotional tie at one point. What made did you look at it from an economic standpoint? I mean, because have you ever been an entrepreneur before, or did you actually step? I tell people this, it was in your soul, and you're just stepping into. You're just stepping into your personal power, man. You know what I mean? So it was already there. So what made you make that jump from being a employee, clock in, clock out, it is what it is, right?
Yeah.
To being an entrepreneur. What was that thing that got you?
I would say it was God. God pushed me into it. Yeah. He said, I've given you this opportunity, and you're being released from your 9-to-5 obligation.
Yeah.
Do what you can, make the most out of this, and do what you really dream about doing.
So now that you're here, do you think that you would have had, because I know a lot of people that are watching and listening, they may have this desire to be an entrepreneur, but they're still tied to that job. So do you think if the conditions didn't happen and you were still working at Warren Buffett's company, would you have had the courage or the desire to jump and start your own business?
That is honestly, a good question. Yeah. Do you think you would have done it if you had the security of a job and the security of a paycheck?
I was comfortable. As most people are, I was comfortable. I knew that eventually, maybe 10, 15 years down the road, I wanted to get into that.
Right.
But it was always, okay, well, when I get to this position, I'll start focusing on this. Or once I start making this amount of money, I'll start doing this on the side. I didn't really foresee that in this very near future.
Right. Can I ask you a question? While you were in that, because I'm trying to extract some energy perspective here. While you were in that job with the stability before COVID-19 and all those things.
Yeah.
Was there an undertow in you where you still were desiring something more, and you kind of like, you know what, I like this job, but I don't like this job. You know, I like this job, but I want to grow out of this. I want to grow into something better. Was there still a little undertow when you were waking up, getting dressed, getting in your car, driving to work, and doing the best job that you could do? Because I know that's the kind of person you are, Rachel. So was that undertow pull? Was there something there for you?
Oh, absolutely. See, I mistook that undertow as I was in a fast track program for management to grow us into being corporate engineers, GMs, stuff of that nature.
Yes.
And I thought that's what it was. I thought, okay, I have a drive to be in a management position, you know, to lead and to help people. But I didn't recognize that it meant, okay, you have to go off on your own and do it. This isn't meant for you to be in this structure. You have to actually step out and do it out in the community on your own.
Wow. There we go. We talk about human optimization, and you are actually what Shine and I talk about and teach. It's in motion in you. You have this undertow energy and this desire that the universe, God, source, whatever anyone wants to call it, it's the truth, right? Yeah. It brought a moment for you, which you could have looked at and said, oh my God, you know, I'm losing my job. And I'm sure you went through that for a moment. Yeah. I'm sure you went through that. I'm losing my job. I've got to move back to Houston. All these different things that you were looking at, but not knowing that you were softly being blown to the opportunity of your true desire. Yeah. So here we are now, we're in entrepreneurship and we're working our business. And I know you're doing well out there because we stay in contact with you on a regular basis. So now you're in solar. So tell me, what do you do?
Ooh, what do I do?
Yeah. What does a day in the life of Rachel look like?
Man, well, it can be different day to day, but most days it's about establishing connections. That is the biggest thing, because my first job is to help educate the community, and I can't do that unless I'm connecting with the community. So my thing is, whether it's door knocking or, you know, doing stuff virtually, trying to do some virtual marketing, I am trying to connect with the community so that my voice can be heard, and then I can help educate people. And that's really where my focus is most days. And then if that leads to a sale or a potential client, then great. If not, at least I'm doing my part.
Yeah, it sounds like your why is pretty strong. It's beyond the finances. The economics of solar is wonderful for both sides, from a business perspective and also from a customer perspective. So, you know, what we're going to do is we're going to continue with those thoughts and continue talking about that. We're going to take a break here for a second and pay a couple bills, guys, and then we'll come back to the Tony Talk Show with Rachel Sturkle, talking about solar, talking about entrepreneurship, talking about life, and talking about how to step forward in this time. And also, Rachel, we're going to talk a little bit about voting as well. Okay, we're not going to get too political, but hopefully you're registered to vote.
I am.
Okay, guys, hold that thought. All right, we're coming back to the Tony Talk Show.
work our whole lives to support our families. With one accident or illness, it can all be gone in an instant. Now there's a smart, affordable way to protect your family. Go to findhealthbenefits.com and discover low-cost life insurance for as little as $2 per month. Add to that a tax-deferred annuity that can help you protect your assets and grow your money for retirement. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. A critical illness can strike without warning and wipe out your life savings. In fact, it's the #1 reason for bankruptcy. Find Health Benefits offers an affordable solution. Get up to $50,000 if you get cancer, stroke, or a heart attack, giving you the peace of mind to focus on getting better while the plan helps you to pay your bills and medical expenses. Learn more. Go to findhealthbenefits.com or call 877-235-6094. 66% of seniors spend more time shopping for cable TV than Medicare plans. Most say because it's just too confusing. Laws change every year. The wrong plan could cost you thousands and prevent you from seeing the doctors you want. Introducing FindHealthBenefits.com. Save time, save money, see specialists without referrals. Go to FindHealthBenefits.com or call 877-235-6094 for this informative brochure.
Society is on the edge. Let's bring them back. Edge Radio, because truth still matters.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Tony Talk Show here on Edge Radio Network. We are here with our wonderful guest, Rachel. We are talking today about entrepreneurship. So Rachel has shared a little bit about her past. I want to tie today's conversation in what we were talking about last week. So last week we were talking about the importance, especially for women, but everyone as well, about exercising, the benefits that exercise has on the body as well as your life, right. and the motivation that you can take in the gym and apply that to the rest of your life. So Rachel, we of course met in the gym. Yeah. Rachel also lifts weights.
Yes, and when we were off air, we were discussing that you've been an athlete pretty much your whole life. When did you start playing sports? How young were you?
That would have been in middle school, so about 13 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
All the way through middle school, high school. Did you try different sports, or was it just one you really focused on?
Middle school, I did everything.
Did you?
I ran track, I played basketball, I played volleyball, I did it all.
Yeah.
Once I got to high school, I was like, all right, I know I'm a volleyball player, so that's what I'm
Is that where your heart was at? I mean, was it
yeah.
in most of your talent?
Oh, yeah. Okay. If you ask my mom, she said I've been playing volleyball since I could walk.
Playing volleyball in the womb.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
It was a part of our family culture.
Right,
and I just knew that was the path
football was part of our family. So I had to play football. I was a guy and you had to play. So there was no choice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Was it kind of like that in your house too?
Oh, yeah.
You're going to play, you're going to be an athlete if you want to or not.
Absolutely.
Right. But you know, I'm sure some of the disciplines that you've learned through being an athlete, what are some of those disciplines that you've brought into your business?
Wow. So, being an athlete, for starters, one, nobody tells you have to wake up and go to workouts. Like, yes, your coach tells you, but it's your job to show up. Right. It's your job to fulfill the things that you have to do. You have to have your own personal motivation, your own personal drive. And I take that into being an entrepreneur, being on my own and having to make those connections, make sure that whatever I want to see through, it has to be within me first.
Right.
Nobody's just going to come over and be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to give you 50 new clients just because I think that you deserve it.
Wouldn't that be great?
No.
Yeah,
right?
That would be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Everybody jump on that boat.
Like, yes, please.
But no, it's that inner drive that I've taken from being an athlete so long.
Yeah.
And I apply that into now my personal and my entrepreneurial lifestyle.
Yes. I love that. That inner drive, that inner knowing, right? That you can kind of just, you can be whatever you really choose to be if you're willing to put the energy, the effort, and the consciousness there, right? That's my philosophy, and it's kind of what's spilling into your business. So you wake up motivated. And, okay, so let me ask you a question.
What's that?
Because here's the truth, guys. We're on Edge Radio, so we must talk about the truth. So here's the deal: what do you do on the days you're not motivated? The days you wake up and it's gray outside in Houston and it's raining
and it's super cold and you didn't have your heater turned up.
There's the remote, Rachel. There's the couch.
See, on those days,
what do you do?
Weather permitting, I'm going to work. Weather permitting. Now, if the weather is a little ugly and I can't be outside connecting with people the way that I want to, that's a good day for me to meditate, to make sure that I'm good. To make sure that I'm at center and that I can be the best that I am. And then take that into the next day. So those are huge gym days for me because I'm like, okay, I can't be out working. The gym's open. The gym's inside. They got the heater.
So you're kind of doing a different kind of work.
Yeah.
Still working on you.
Yep.
To get everything else taken care of.
Yeah, because it always starts with me.
Yeah.
So for those of the people out there that are wanting to start their own businesses, would you also recommend for them that in the plan of what they're trying to build with their business, would you also suggest that they incorporate some sort of physical activity in that plan?
Yeah.
Could you imagine yourself being the businesswoman that you are without having that experience of exercise and that discipline of that?
Honestly, I could not, because being in the gym not only gets me right physically, but it also gets me right mentally, because once I come out of the gym, whether I came in worrying about something or something was pressing on my spirit, I always come out refreshed. I always feel as if I'm ready for the day.
I think you said something like that last week, didn't you, Shy? You were like, you always feel good when you're done. I always tell people, you know, when I would get new clients, I would always say this: listen, here's the great thing about working out, okay? You're always going to feel good. You're going to feel good either that it's over, right? Or you're going to have a great workout and you're going to feel good. But at the end of the day, you're always going to feel good. You know what I mean? So
at the very least, better than when you went in.
Right. I have never walked into the gym and felt worse.
Right.
I really haven't. I mean, in the 36 years I've been working out, that's never happened to me.
And scientifically, you can't, because
serotonin's being released, endorphins. Exactly. How can you be upset with serotonin and endorphins in your body? I mean, makes you happy, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it does.
So that is one thing that is very key for my day, because if I can wake up, get in the gym, and get right mentally and physically, then I'm going to have a great day, no matter what happens.
And we're kind of encompassing all of this about self-empowerment.
Absolutely.
You know, self-empowerment. So, you know, I want to throw this out a little bit because, you know, I kind of specialize in training women for 10 years. And I do know this. What I found to be true is that a lot of women came to me and they were in abusive relationships.
Yeah.
They didn't feel well about themselves. They were in emotional struggle, right? When they started working out in the gym, those other things started working out. You understand what I mean? And they just kind of drew a line in the sand and said, enough's enough. Okay. They started getting rid of people in their lives that were not for them, right? Yeah. They started moving towards the things they truly desired because they started believing in themselves more. Yeah. So I want to talk about that piece just for a second, because both of you guys are entrepreneurs. You're both women. Let's talk about that just for a second. Give me a perspective on that. What does that do for you in the empowerment of Rachel?
Yeah. Well, personally for me, I know with weight training, when you can start off at one weight and, you know, you work at that for a week or two and then you move on to that next weight, it shows you that there is more power within you than what you even know.
Wow.
You can build on that. You can develop that.
Yes.
So if you take that into your own personal lifestyle, it's the same thing. There is power within us that we sometimes don't recognize, and we have to dive into that.
Do you think people are afraid of it? I think people are afraid of that. They're really afraid. You know, if you think about it for a second, you're really afraid of the power that you have to overcome the things that you choose that you don't really feel like you have power to overcome.
So let's talk about that afraid word and the bigger word, fear.
Fear.
Yeah. So when you I'm sure when you came to Houston, you weren't sure what you were going to do, but part of you, I'm sure, was like, okay, I need to find another job.
Yeah.
So then this business opportunity presented itself. You were very adamant about getting started and engaged right away.
Yeah.
Did you have any fears about doing so? And if so, what were they? And then how did you overcome them?
Yeah, that's a good one.
That was huge. Actually, for a full week after I had met you guys, I was so troubled with fear. I was sick to my stomach because I was like, there is no guarantee in this.
No.
I left a position that was comfortable. I knew every 2 weeks I was getting this amount, and that was that.
Have you noticed how life keeps showing us that there is no guarantees?
That job that you thought was so comfortable,
no guarantees.
Proven out.
And I mean, the last time we seen that there was really no guarantees is the last time we had this major economic crash and people were losing their jobs all over the place, right?
Yeah.
We need to understand that this thing wiggles and wobbles called life, right?
Yeah.
Keep going, Rachel.
Okay.
Awesome.
So how did you overcome?
Yeah, how did you overcome that?
How did you overcome those?
It was just a mental check-in. I told myself, if you believe in yourself, if you see that this is fit for you, then you can make it happen.
Wow.
As long as you make that choice, you can make it happen.
Yeah.
Did you
consciousness?
We've worked.
Keep bringing it back. She made a conscious choice and stepped into it, right?
Yeah.
And now it's just unfolding for you in a beautiful way. We talk about this all the time, don't we, Rachel? Force versus flow.
Yes.
Right? Getting in the flow of life and not forcing things. Because when you force things, guess what? When you force things, they have to push back.
Yeah.
So now we got a forced issue.
Yep.
But if you flow with things, there's no pushback.
Yeah.
But it does require a little bit of patience, right? And some consciousness, right? And some self-creativity and empowerment, saying, hey, you know what? It's on me. That's kind of what you've made that decision, and you're stepping into this space. And I know you're going to be super successful because guess what? That's who you are. That's the light I seen in the gym. And that's why we brought you on the show so that you could be an inspiration to everyone else as well. Yeah.
So I do want to bring up a topic. You do also have a podcast.
Yes.
I do.
So
found out about that just a few seconds ago too. You keeping all the secrets under the hat.
Hey, so I'm multifaceted
I know
here.
You are.
So having your own business isn't, again, too far of a stretch because you've already started and branched out on your own about your podcast. So how long have you had it? What inspired you to get started on that? So tell us a little bit about that mission as well.
And that is true. That was probably the first seed that was planned for me as far as an entrepreneurial lifestyle.
Right.
We started the podcast, me and my two best friends. It's called She Me Her. It's on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeartRadio.
She Me Her?
She Me Her.
Oh, She Me Her.
Yes.
Okay.
All different, but all the same.
I love that.
Yeah. We started that about the beginning of June. Yeah, right before I lost my job. And that was really what allowed me to step into that new mindset.
What was the inspiration there to start that podcast?
Honestly, group FaceTime calls. we have all been best friends since high school, and one of our friends lives in LA. Right. I was in Philly at the time, and the other girl lives here in Houston. And we would get on group FaceTime calls, and we would talk about life. We would just get into these deep conversations, and we were like,
let's record this.
Yeah, honestly, we were like, okay, one, we're kind of funny. Yeah. Two, let's help heal the community.
Come on now.
So that's what it
it
came out that way because in our spirit we knew people we could actually help people with this because there are so many things, especially in the Black community and in other communities, that we don't talk about enough. And that's something that we wanted to dive into more, is just what are those things that are still in the community that needs to be talked about? What do we need to bring to light? What do we need to show people the different options for, the different point of views that you're not seeing and exploring? And that's what we wanted to kind of develop through our podcast, especially for women, but not just women, everyone. Yeah.
So do the three of you, because I always find, podcasts and radio very interesting when there's multiple people. Mm-hmm. So do you guys agree most of the time, or is there a lot of diversity? And I mean, these are your best friends, so obviously there's enough commonality, but does it ever get a little heated? With disagreement?
When we first started, I did get some feedback that you guys all think alike. You guys all talk alike. Like, where is the different?
Where's the season of that? I need some flavor in this thing.
As we've developed the more topics that we go into, a lot of times Haley and my friend Brandy, they do agree on a lot of things, and I'm kind of like the black sheep. Like, Well, let's look at it this way.
We talked about that black light philosophy. Here comes the light. What else is in the room?
Yes.
What else is in the room that we're not paying attention to that we need to bring into the discussion?
Absolutely.
Because usually when you do that, guess what? The solution shows up.
Yep.
Because it becomes what? It becomes where it's not so focused on your perspective or someone else's perspective or political slant or religious slant. It's just, let's bring it all together and see if we can come up with a new way of doing things.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's going on right now. I think that this is such a critical time for us, not only in our nation, but individually and globally. This is a time where we all need to pivot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, we need to pivot, man. We need to pivot on so many different issues and look at what's really there and open up the discussion honestly and say, hey, where's the solution at? Okay, we've done a great job talking about the problem, right? We're all clear about what the problem is.
Yeah.
Let's come together and discuss the solution. I love that. So that's what your podcast is all about, right?
Yeah.
Just let's talk about subjects that no one wants to talk about, right?
Yeah.
And let's have an open discussion about it.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
So where can they find you at again?
It is on Apple Podcasts,
Yes.
iHeartRadio, and Spotify.
I love that. Yes. Rachel, you're awesome, man. Rachel, she's just wonderful. And what would you say? What would you say to the young lady, the young girl right now in high school or junior high school and looking at you and saying, wow, I'd love to be where she's at? What would you say to that young lady? What would you say to her to empower her to make the decisions for herself that are right for her moving forward?
It's in you too. That's what I think a lot of young women don't realize is it's in all of us.
Yeah.
You just have to make that choice. You have to tap into that personally and have that motivation, that drive, and say, you know what? I don't care what anyone else says. If I put my mind to this, I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Did you have anyone in your life that you told that you were going to start a solar business and
they were like,
not
girl,
positive
you crazy. You
about
gotta go
it?
find a job somewhere. What's wrong with you?
I mean, I've definitely had a lot of family members that were like, Rachel, you have an engineering degree. Go get an engineering job. It's like, come on, common sense.
I always tell my family stuff first to get all the no's out of the way. No, you can't do it. No, you shouldn't do it. No, you know what I mean? No, it's not right for you. Good. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to move forward and do what I want to do. Have a great day. So you're saying it's in every woman. That little light is in every woman.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that too?
I would as well.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to let's hold that thought because we're going to come back, right?
Yes.
We're going to come back, guys. We're going to take a break and we're going to pay a few bills, but stay with us at the Tony Talk Show and we'll see you here in a sec.
The Natural Nation Network is really about taking control of your health physically, spiritually, emotionally, even intellectually, because there's so much out there in misinformation. There's a lot of people now that are suffering from all sorts of diseases that they really wouldn't have to suffer for if they had better information. And that's what we're here to do. Provide information that can save lives.
The mind and the body are totally connected.
Health can be really serious, and sometimes we just have to lighten it up a little bit while we're still providing substantive information. And, my sort of mantra on the salsa dance floor is kind of similar. I tell somebody, if you make a mistake twice, it becomes a move. Okay?
Tune into Natural Nation every Tuesday at 11 a.m.
Welcome back to the Tony Talk Show, Thursday morning here at 10 a.m. It's almost 11 a.m. here in Midtown, Houston, Texas. We're here with Rachel. Rachel has been our guest here, and we've been talking about a lot of different issues. Entrepreneurship. We've been talking a little bit about your life and your background. And before we took a break, I asked you a question, and you talked about that there was that light inside of every woman, that you just kind of answered that call within yourself to move you forward in what you're doing today. So, Shine and I, we have discussed a lot of times that women suppress the greatness of who they are. Yeah. Why do you think that happens?
Wow. Well, for starters,
did you ever experience that in your life? Honestly. I mean, because I know you said you've been an athlete but you've been a woman too. So I know you've been living in society and dealing with the same issues that most women have to deal with. So
yeah, I would definitely say in my previous job, I did have to suppress myself because I was in a mostly male industry. And
so why did you feel that way? See, us men, we want to know that. Yeah. Okay, so here you are, you're in a predominantly a male industry, and you feel that you need to suppress yourself. Did anyone tell you that verbally, or you just kind of felt that was the thing I need to do to move up because they were afraid of my power?
It was an energy, because a lot of men fear a strong woman.
Yes.
So when
I was young. I did.
When I would go into meetings or when I would have, debriefings or something.
Yeah.
That energy that I got from people, I had to understand how to balance and suppress myself sometimes a little bit just so that I can make sure that I was giving a good energy to them. They could give a good energy to me. It was just so that we could coincide in peace.
Right.
And that's not what I encourage women to do.
So did that transfer into your life as well? I can understand you kind of doing it. Well, I can and I can't. But in business, I know this happens all the time, right? But in your life, did you notice that was actually permeating into your life as well?
Oh, absolutely.
In your relationships with other men?
Yeah.
Wow.
Personal relationships, not really friendships, but definitely in my relationships, I had seen a pattern of that in some of those relationships. And it will permeate into all aspects if you allow it to grow.
That's the energy, right?
Yeah.
So again, I think the key thing here is consciousness and awareness that that's happening and that you're doing that.
Absolutely.
And then also deciding if you're okay with that. So I know a lot of women feel that they need to do that, like you said, in order to keep the peace.
Right.
I think women are more focused on keeping internal and external and environmental peace, that sometimes they're willing to make sacrifices in order to do that, both in workplace and in relationships. We of course encourage women to embrace their power. Don't be aggressive with your power, and I think that's kind of where sometimes
I tell Shai, you don't have to put me in prison to be free. You know what I mean? You can just be free. I don't have to be put in prison. You have to step on my neck to step up. You know what I mean? And the thing about sometimes, I think the women's movement is, in certain areas, can be a little too aggressive. It's not harmonious. It's not about, hey, you know what? I'm a woman and, and I'm stronger than you as a man. It's not about that. It's about, I am a woman. Here's my power and here's what I'd like to contribute.
Yeah.
So am I wrong about that, ladies?
No, I mean, for me, it's not. For me, for someone to get ahead doesn't mean that you have to push someone back. Right. And sometimes, sometimes the women movement can be that way, but I think it may also be the interpretation on the other side that they feel that if women have more power, that means that they have less power.
I think you're absolutely correct. The interpretation, and also let's add on to that the intimidation.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, because we have to understand that we all have something to bring to the table. Yes. Just because I'm bringing something to the table doesn't take away the fact that you brought
just more stuff to eat.
Exactly.
It's crazy that I was raised by women, so I've kind of got a little different perspective as a man. Now, when I was younger, I didn't. I was truly socialized as an alpha male, but soon, as I've grown up, I've softened up a little bit, and learned a few things, and harmony is the most important thing to me.
Yeah.
And there's a reason why there's male and female on the planet, because it's the energy of the planet.
Yeah.
So when you disregard a piece of that energy, guess what?
You're disrupting the energy of the planet.
Amen, you are. Amen,
I think you highlighted a great point, and I think sometimes Tony and I have conversations about this a lot, is we're so focused on the external.
Oh, wow.
Of who someone is it male, female, white, black, Asian, and not looking at who that person is for a spirit, and as an energy, and as a human, and what their heart is like, and what their goal is.
Enjoying the beauty of the diversity of the outer exterior.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes.
Could you imagine if we all looked alike? How boring that would be. All the same color, all of that.
And all thought the same. We wouldn't advance. We wouldn't.
There is no evolution if we all think the same. There really isn't. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's the power's in the diversity.
Yeah,
it truly is. And that was one of the things that, I still think it's one of the things that make our country great. Is the power and the diversity of it. But unfortunately, we're not embracing that to its fullest extent, in my opinion. And I think, again, this is time for us to pivot, and say, hey, you know what? How do we make it better as a individually? First of all, you got to be right with yourself before you can be right with someone else, right,
Always
Rachel?
Starts with you.
Yeah, it starts with you. So once you can do that, then you can start to love your neighbor, and then you can start to love your community, then you can start, and then it just grows and grows and grows, and things get better. And we talk about it all the time. But the problem is, you can walk in the gym and talk about wanting to lose weight all day. But if you don't pick up the weights and change your diet and do something different, you're not going to do it. So talk is cheap, and words don't teach.
I think you need to say that again.
Talk is cheap and words don't teach. We learn through our experience. We learn through discovery. You would have never known your power as an entrepreneur. You would have never known your ability to create your own income, create your own freedom, walk immediately into your desires until you made a conscious decision and said, hey, I'm worth it, I deserve it, and I'm going to experience it. Yeah. So now you have discovered it, and I promise you, you're not going to go back and get a job with anyone else. Why? Because you've been freed from that land that you kind of wanted to be free from, that undertow, right?
Yeah.
So here we are. We're here having a discussion about that and the empowerment of that. And again, the diversity of that, the energy of that, and the consciousness of that.
So we know a lot of you because in the tons of clients that we work with, we might have started working with them for health and wellness, but it always comes to light their true desires of what they want for their life.
Yeah, when you honor your body, you honor your life. That's just kind of the way it works, guys. And I know a lot of you don't want to hear that, but it's the truth. When you honor your body, you honor your life. Because you know what? Your life is in your body.
It sparks that fire within you.
Come on now. Yeah.
Because once you jumpstart that, then everything else just naturally flows with it.
Amen. Amen.
Like you were saying.
Energy, it flows.
Yeah.
So if any of you out there are listening and you have this idea or you have a inkling inside of you that you want to start your own business, now is a great time to do so.
Oh, it's a wonderful time. Guess what? Now is always a good time because all you have is now. Now is the best time for you to make the best decisions for yourself and the life that you're trying to create. And now is the time for you to step into that.
Yeah.
Try it before you deny it, right? That's our belief. That's what we teach. You try the things that you think are going to work for you. Maybe you got a little bit of fear, a little bit of trepidation about it. You know, I need to go home. I need to go back to Houston, get a job because that's what I've been socialized to do. That's what my mom and dad trained me very well to do.
Yeah.
You know, I did well in school. I became an engineer. I started working for Warren Buffett. I mean, come on, man. Come on.
Yeah.
A lot of people would never achieve that. A lot of people would have never even achieved that as an employee or moving up in the ranks of their career, Rachel. So I applaud you for that. And the fact that you stepped away from that, because you could have came down here and found a good job. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
You can go work for anyone you want to.
Yeah.
You know that, right? But you chose to do what you're doing today, and I thank you for that.
So, of course, Rachel, you mentioned that your first kind of motivation is education of the community.
Yes.
So anyone out there that is a homeowner that's interested in learning about solar and the tremendous benefits that you get, both financially and environmentally by going solar, please feel free to reach out to Rachel so that she can help you with that.
How do they reach out to you? How do they get in contact with you?
Oh, well, they can reach out to me at Rachel, STOERKEL, @gmail.com.
Okay.
That's my email.
Say that again just in case.
Yes.
Rachel, last name, STOERKEL, @gmail.com. And I'm not giving y'all my personal phone number on the...
Yeah,
look, I don't know who y'all are.
No, the email is good enough. That's the first step.
Yeah.
That's the first step. So if they're interested, they can email you,
Yes.
homeowners, right? Because you have to be a homeowner to qualify, correct?
Yep,
Okay,
absolutely.
so you have to be a homeowner to qualify. If you are interested in learning more about solar and owning your own power, that's what we're all about here, guys. We're about renewable energy. We're about taking care of the planet. We're about taking care of your body. We're about taking care of your life. That's what we do here on Tony Talk Show. So they can get in contact with Rachel in that way, correct?
Yes,
no numbers,
sir.
just your email.
No.
Okay.
I don't need any creeps.
You know what? I think this would be a great time to share what we did for one of our customers. Do you have that information? Rachel, what's so awesome is that we love doing what we're doing as well, going out in the community, educating people on the benefits of owning their own power. So we love that as well, and we to be able to really help a homeowner because the deck is really stacked against them. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, to really be able to go in there and say, hey, we can help you own your own power. We can actually help you create your own power and get that back from the grid so you don't have to pay for power anymore. And then, oh, by the way, the government's going to help you. Boom. Oh, one more benefit. What? Home equity.
Instantly.
Where
do you find that at?
You can't find that. Listen, I haven't found it anywhere yet. Yeah. Usually home equity comes over time, and it's based off of the market and based off of other things. So what we're trying to do is educate communities because guess what? When more homes in a community go solar, the whole community rises.
Yes.
The value of the whole community rises. So guys, listen to us now. You need to really start looking into this and taking control of your own power.
So we were able to put in various ways over $117,000 in a family's pocket. Oh, wow. That's with the money that they were going to save over the amount of time, so you're not being subjected to the 4 to 10% increases in energy prices every single year.
It's coming. There's nothing you're going to do to stop it.
That stays in the pocket.
Yes.
Their home value went up almost $40,000 instantly by putting solar on their home, and they received a $20,000 tax credit from the federal government.
Come on now.
So over $117,000.
Is your energy company doing any of that for you? Listen, just take this one thing. Is your energy company doing any of that for you? Is your energy company putting any value to your home? Any equity on your home? No, they're not.
So again, Rachel, you will do a free home analysis to anyone that's interested.
Free. So you're sure that's free? You ain't gonna come around and be like, oh, by the way, that's gonna cost me $150. No, it's free.
It's free.
And what is the analysis gonna do for them?
So what we do in the analysis, we help educate the homeowner first, and then we will actually build what could be a design for their home, what could benefit them, and show them the facts behind what the solar panels could produce for their home so that they can see on paper, well, I usually do it on my tablet, but they can actually see the proof for their eyes. Okay, this is what it's going to look like. This is how my energy is going to be produced. And that is what a lot of homeowners need. They need to be able to see it.
So the proposal kind of shows the details
of
what it looks like. So I know this, but they don't know this. When we do a proposal, they can actually see it on their homes, right? You can see what solar looks like on your home. So you get the visual, you get the numbers, you get to understand everything before you actually say, hey, I want to do it, right?
So
and it's free. It's free to do that.
A lot of people have had in the past or relatively recently done a solar proposal before, but I know you're able to do things a little bit different than a lot of other companies. So you're able to get 100% offset.
Yeah.
What exactly does that
mean? Yeah, we need to speak to that because you know what? A lot of folks, man, again, this industry is new. This industry is growing very rapidly. So
the industry's not new.
Well, the industry, you're right. The industry's pretty, it's old, isn't it? Okay, the concept of itself, it's becoming more popular. Yes. Absolutely correct. It's becoming more popular. So we've got a learning curve here, right?
Yep.
And here's the thing that I hate to say this, but it is the reality of it. There are people out there that are not really for the customer.
Yes.
There are people out there not really doing the best job for the customer. You know, when you end up putting solar on your home and you get an energy bill too, I mean, that's not right. They didn't do the good job for you, right? So
Absolutely.
you had mentioned offset. What does that mean, Rachel? What does offset mean?
What we do is when we try to achieve 100% offset, that means that we are guaranteeing that the panels are producing the entire amount of usage that we have seen on your home. So you will never have to worry about double bills. You will always have that safety net of, okay, my panels are producing enough. And with the net metering program, in peaks and valleys, you will have times where your panels will produce more than what you're using and your panels will produce less than what you're using. But with net metering, when you're producing less, that time where you have produced more actually goes into a storage bank. And you're actually able to draw from that in those valleys so that you never get that second
bill. Are you saying here in Houston, in the middle of the summer, I have no electricity bill if I go solar?
Zero? Now watch this. Here's the beautiful thing. Now watch this. I'm going to use yesterday as an example.
Yeah.
So I've got solar on my roof, and you said the peaks and valleys. There's going to be times I'm going to be overproducing energy, right? The net metering program is going to put that energy to the grid, correct? So that's my energy. It's not my neighbor's, it's mine. I get to use it when I need it, right? So yesterday when we had that overcast day or the last 2 days where my panels were probably not going to produce as much as they possibly could, I would be pulling from that net energy. I would be pulling from my own bank of energy. I wouldn't be paying extra for that energy when the sun's not up. So I'm banking that energy, and I get to keep that.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wonderful, right?
It is wonderful.
That's why we love doing what we do.
So if you are a homeowner, please, we strongly encourage you, get a proposal done.
It's free, man. Listen, here's the deal. It's just an educational process so you can see if it works for you in your home. Yes. And at the end of the day, I can tell you right now, your current energy model is broken. There is no ROI, and we talk about that all the time, return on investment.
So again, talking about optimization of yourself and your life, a lot of time that optimization requires change. And so this solar concept does require a change. It is different than the norm. So previously you didn't have another option for energy, but everyone out there, you do have
an option, but you don't have an option unless you walk into it. And I want to talk about that word change.
Yes.
Change, we talked about force and flow.
Yes.
Yep.
So I'm going to tell you guys real quickly how to get in flow with your life, how to get in flow in every aspect of your life, because this happens in every aspect of your life, and it's called change. And change is the part of evolution. It is the law of life. You can't get away from it. You can't get away from it. So what you have to do now is understand it, recognize it, and flow with it.
Especially when change is positive. So this solar option is an extremely positive change for everyone. Tony and I, we don't like to get involved in things that are not win.
Oh, by the way, it needs to be win-win again. And you know what? It is absolutely possible when you look at it from a perspective of, I want to help everyone. Because then, guess what? Energy source gets behind you, and it gives you the ideas of how to help everyone.
Yes.
Because it's there. I always tell people, you know what? It wouldn't be a problem unless there was a solution. That's the energy. Yin yang, male female, day night, right? Democrat Republic, all that. I'm telling you, that energy is critically important when you understand that and understand that change is part of life, and you just say, hey, you know what? Time to pivot.
Yeah. So we're super excited. We're incredibly thankful to have Rachel on to talk about entrepreneurship, also to spotlight her new solar business. So
Absolutely,
Rachel, before we end, give our listeners
inspiration
another opportunity to reach out to you. So go ahead and give us your email one more time.
It is Rachel, Rachel, my last name Sterkel, STOERKEL @gmail.com. Or you could also find me on Facebook, not by my first and last name, because I typically didn't want people to find me, but at Rachel Nicole.
And guys, this is my daughter, so don't be trying to reach out and get a date and all that, okay? Because it's not going to happen, all right? Now, by the way, what I'd like for you to do, Rachel, is please just leave a word of inspiration for our audience. We got 1 minute for that. 1 minute of inspiration, Rachel. Come on.
All right, so the fire is in all of us. Yes. Like I was saying earlier, it is in all of us. You just have to make that choice to step out on faith and do it, because there's nothing more to life than being free.
Yes.
That is what it is. The comfortability that we find in our day-to-day, going to a job 9 to 5, saying yes, no, whatever to somebody else, who is in control of your life. That's not life.
No, it's not.
That's not what we were meant to do.
We were created to be here to choose and to create.
Yeah.
Choose the life that makes us happy and create the things that are going to be in support of that. Family, career, community. That's what we're here for. We're not, I just don't believe that my creator created me to be put on this earth to struggle for the rest of my life.
No.
Economically, physically, emotionally. I just don't believe that's true. I believe we've been put here to enjoy life, to create life. And you know, we're going to experience life regardless if you want to or not. You're in the flow of it. Yeah. So you might as well get in the flow of it and understand that I have a day of birth and I have a day of death. And what do I do in between those dates? That's what matters.
Yeah. So
how many people do I help in between those dates? Yeah. That's what matters.
Yeah, and all you have to do is get aligned with what God has for you, what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
And everything else will work out.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
As long as you have that motivation, as long as you have that passion, it will work out.
Amen, Rachel. I love it.
Thank you guys for joining the Tony Talk Show. Again, every Thursday, 10 a.m. here at Edge Radio Network. We're super excited for future conversations. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you, Rachel.
Inspiring.
Edge Radio, we're going to tell the truth. So you guys stay tuned, okay? Thank you for being